To begin today, I'm going to be showing you guys a few different pictures of different people from different backgrounds, and I'm going to have you guys guess their race. Okay, first we have this girl. What race do you think she is?
Mexican.
Spanish.
Nope. She's actually Indian, from India. How about this guy?
Italian.
Nope.
French.
Nope, he's from the Philippines.
India.
Yeah, we have Catholics, they know. Her?
Mexican.
Nope. She's actually from Pakistan.
American.
Nope.
Russian.
Yes.
London?
Yes. Russian. Okay. So today I'm going to be talking about the controversial topic of racism, and racism is the belief that a particular race is superior or inferior to another, that a person's social and moral traits are predetermined by his or her inborn biological characteristics. Racial separatism is a belief that most of the time based on racism that different races should remain segregated from each other, and that was from my source ADL. Recently took a course last semester in journalism, and I wasn't required to, but it got rid of a general elective. Went into it not really knowing what to expect, and I really ended up liking the class. We talked about race, class, and news, and all different sorts of things, and it really changed my perceptions on that topic. To me, as you saw from the pictures earlier, a lot of people have racial stereotypes and stuff, and that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today, but also the history of the nation and how that influenced racism, and then also media. So to begin, almost 90% of white people in America who were asked to take an implicit association test show an inherent racial bias for white people versus black people, and that definitely means something, and that's from Nesbitt. So to me, that means that definitely people in America have racial problems, and they feel like they're superior or inferior to other different races, especially minorities. And so to me, America is a huge mixed pot of multiple cultures, multiple races, ethnicities, you name it. So when the English came over, or Europeans came over to colonize, it was mostly Europeans. They came over, they colonized, took land away from the Native Americans. We all know that. But as soon as slavery started and they brought, African Americans from Africa, I think that's definitely when racism started in America. So generally during slavery, blacks were deemed intellectually inferior to whites, and this notion persists in modern day America, and that's from Niddle. And so, racism in our country was definitely a really big topic. Slavery. And so we had Ku Klux Klan, we had, black hate groups, white supremacy groups, and I found this online, and this really interests me. So, oops, sorry for that noise. Okay. This is all the hate groups in America today. This is today. So as you can see, these gray ones are the Ku Klux Klan. We have Nazi hate groups. We have white supremacy groups. This is just amazing to me. There's over 800 known hate groups today in America that people keep track of and track, and that's just really surprising to me. So this definitely shows that racism is still a huge problem in our country today. Close that. The next thing I'm going to talk about is racial stereotyping, and racial stereotyping is an automatic or an exaggerated mental picture that we hold in our minds about all different members of a particular racial group. When we stereotype people on race, we don't take into account all of their individual characteristics or differences. And so, as you guys looked at the pictures, you guys kind of just made generalizations as to the groups you guys know, like Asians, Europeans, Russians. You guys all kind of guessed the race of these people. So how do we develop these racial stereotypes? So our human nature in our heads, we naturally categorize people to make mental shortcuts for ourselves. And our country, like the United States, categorizes people on the color of their skin and not their individual differences. And that's a huge problem. So what? We categorize people and it's not our fault. That's kind of what you're hearing right now, but they are harmful. Racial stereotypes are harmful because they ignore the full humanity and uniqueness of all different kinds of people. When our perceptions of different races are distorted and stereotypical, it's demeaning, it's devaluing, and it limits different people. And in some cases, people who are repeatedly labeled in a negative way start to feel inferior to other people of different races, and I think that's definitely how Black African Americans feel to whites that brought them into slavery in our country. So how do we avoid this? How do we avoid racially stereotyping people in our country or limit our stereotyping? You have to be conscious of the way you think and how your mind perceives things. You have to try your best to avoid stereotypes and notice when you're doing it, and become aware of your inner thoughts and actions and feelings and how they affect our beliefs. The next thing we're going to talk about is kind of how the media influences racism, and technology is huge in our country today. You know, iPads, internet, everything, social media, Facebook, all kinds of stuff. So we have headlines that influence it, news coverage, I'm talking, that could be news on TV, that could be newspapers, social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, advertisements on TV, you name it, it's there. And I think definitely one of the main messages that is portrayed in news all around our country is that the white race is superior to every other race in our country, whether that be in news stories, like making Black people or minorities feel a certain way. So I kind of found an example online, and as you know, Donald Trump's running for president in the campaign, and in his campaign, he has been using racial stereotyping, and I found it in a lot of articles online, but in an article by Amanda Sakama, Trump uses racial stereotyping on Mexican people. He generalizes them all together and in one group and clumps them all together. First he calls, so this is quote from the article, it says, first he called Mexicans drug dealers, and then rapists, and then they were killers too. So this is kind of just saying everyone that's either from Mexican heritage, Mexican culture, are going to be associated with raping people, killing people, murdering people, and it's fine if he doesn't want immigrants in the country. You can say immigrants or people coming to America, but you don't have to group all of them together in a race and make those kind of judgments. And he's such a public and popular figure that him talking to audiences and saying that kind of stuff is going to influence their perceptions and how they see things, so they might start to believe what he sees, and he can influence racism on other people that our country is trying to eliminate. In conclusion, I asked classmates 3 questions online, and the 3 questions I asked is racism still a problem today? Do you witness it firsthand, and have you ever racially stereotyped without meaning to? And I got a lot of mixed answers. I got, some yes, racism is still a problem. No, I've never seen it firsthand. Or have you ever racial stereotyped? Some people say yes, but kind of gave me vague answers. But I'm going to kind of ask you guys today, do you think racism is still a problem today?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you ever witnessed it firsthand?
I don't think so.
And have you ever racially stereotyped someone without meaning to?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I can say yes to all those things. Definitely agree it's still a problem. I have seen it firsthand at college campuses. It's pretty diverse, and people make jokes and stuff about different races. And then also, have you ever racially stereotyped without meaning to? Yes, and I feel bad saying I have, but it's my mind's way of working, and I don't mean to, but it's something I'm definitely going to work on. Our country is definitely taking steps to improve racism in our country with affirmative action and equal opportunity employers. We have our first black president that's ending his term this year, and we have a lot more interracial couples, and there's definitely a lot more. So racism in our country is definitely not as severe or extreme as it used to be in the past, but it's still existent and it's still a huge problem in the United States. And stereotyping, our nation's history, and the media all play a huge role in it.
Very good.
Very good.